Poke the Bear is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
And welcome into Poke the Bear, episode 274, presented by Prize Picks. Go use that promo code CLNS to get $50 back when you play just $5. And we're presented by Game Time. Go use the promo code CLNS to get $20 off that first purchase. Terms apply. I'm Evan Marinofsky. That's Conor Ryan. Connor, what is up?
Evan, I'm doing well, unlike the Bruins.
That adds up. That adds up. So for those who are listening, we're recording this on Wednesday, October 30th. Might come out later in the week, potentially after they play the Hurricanes. We don't know how they did, but this is going to kind of a little bit of a look back, a little bit of a look-sees, back-sees, the first 10 games of the season, and sort of the recent trends that we've identified, which are not very good. They're not very good trends, Connor. We're recording this after Tuesday's 2-0 loss to Philly on home ice. That's one of those games where, like, you should get a refund. You should get a partial money back. You know how the Clippers are doing that thing where, like, if you're standing up and cheering a lot, the chair can tell, and so you'll get like discounts at the pro shop. That should be like what the Bruins do. Like, if it's a crappy loss to a crappy team, give them a little something. 15% off chicken tenders next time they're there or something. You know?
I was gonna say maybe you get like the little Zamboni box with the chicken fingies in them.
You should.
Or at the very least, like a large fry at the McDonald's in North Station, like something.
Yes, you know how they always have. I think I have the McDonald's app because I live near a McDonald's, so
you live at a McDonald's.
Sometimes. Yeah, I live at a McDonald's. Yes, I live in the back room right next to the Fryer-later. But the app the day after the Celtics win usually has like a big deal for the Celtics, and the one near me is Jason Tatum's McDonald's when they won the NBA championship. It's the one on Soldiers Field Road. Please don't come to my house. Please do not come to my house. But
yes.
That's the one that's near me. So you figure out where I live. That's not great for me. But they should have deals after the Bruins lose. So make people feel better. What's wrong with that? I think that'd be a good idea. They're going to need it this year.
It's like the inverse of, remember, I think when the Patriots in their heyday, when they would win every Sunday, and I think it would be like Gronk had a deal with Dunkin'. So it'd be like, you got like a large cold brew for like 87 cents. It was clutch. Yep. It was like an automatic every Monday. It was great.
Yeah. Or, kids eat free after the Red Sox win at the 99. Doesn't happen very often.
Shout out.
God bless the 99. Bless the 99. But there should be something if a team loses. The offense. I mean, we have to start there. Not just a Tuesday night problem, not just a last couple days problem. This has been a problem since game one. 5-on-5 offense just has not been there. And they got hits that, you and I obviously did a lot of podcasts prior to the year saying this is a better team. They should be a cup contender. Should be first in the Atlantic. They're really good. They upgraded. Did we expect the offense to be this bad at any point? I don't think so.
Not at this level, no, right? Where you're at a point now where coming off of Tuesday's loss, going into Wednesday, you've got now David Pastrnak and Elias Lindholm are split up, and you can look at like the mixing and matching that Jim Montgomery has done so far, and you can make the argument like, hey, maybe let some of these lines breathe a little bit, see what they could do in a full game. Pastrnak and Lindholm have been together for 95 minutes now, like a pretty solid chunk of time now, 10 games, and they've accounted for 2 5-on-5 goals. They've been out there for 2 5-on-5 goals and two against. So they haven't broken even there for your top line that is getting a lot of ozone time. Opponents are generating 24 high danger scoring chances during that time. Bruins are generating 12. And I mentioned this speaking with Ty Anderson. I didn't become a journalist to get a math major. I did quite the opposite. But I think 24-12 is not what you're looking for in terms of your line that should be, again, shouldering most of the scoring burden for this team. So, I don't think you ever expected that to be the case with a team that good. And with two guys that, you look at David Pastrnak, he had Pavel Zacha for a couple of years and he's elevated him. He had Eric Holla, who was a guy that didn't really know what to expect and had a career year as well. Like,
that'll be like a trivia question in 20 years.
It would be. But you look at like what he's done in terms of elevating the teammates around him. Elias Lindholm, yeah, maybe he's not the most skilled player, but feels like a perfect complement to what you have with that group. And with how effective David Pastrnak is, hasn't worked. Like you could look at how shocking it is that, guys that maybe exceeded expectations last year, like Morgan Geekie, even like Charlie Coyle, like what they've done, which is not a whole lot, and that's jarring. But when even like your top line, which should be your go-to group, that even as you're, mixing and matching the guys you added this offseason, like David Pastrnak should be able to shoulder most of the scoring burden out of the gate. And having that be the case, it's jarring right now in terms of just how many guys are either in a funk or not confident with the puck. It's like, again, who would have guessed that right now, 10 games in, that your leading 5-on-5 scorer is Cole Koepke? Like, or your outright leading scorer, which is nuts.
And it's been that way for the last week.
Yeah.
That nothing's changed. Like, obviously they win against Toronto on Saturday, which is great. And I think everybody thought would be sort of this jumping off point. And it's the anomaly. It's the game. It's the outlier. It's not what they've been doing recently. I mean, you go back to that. It started with the Utah game. I mean, again, like you even look at the new top 6 that Montgomery is debuting, at least that he debuted at practice on Wednesday. And by the time you listen to this, maybe we'll know like how that shaped out. But again, like that top line of Beecher, Zacha, Pastrnak, the second line, Marchand, Lindholm, Kastelik, like 2 of your fourth line guys, 2 guys who at the beginning of the year we were not sure if they'd be in the lineup every night, are now in your top 6. And they've been great. Like I'm not demeaning them. Like they've been your best people. Like, and Cole Koepke too. Completely. Like I'm not diminishing what they've been doing, but it shows you just how desperate they've gotten. And is that a roster issue? Is that a coaching issue? Is that a player issue? I think it's all of them. I mean, we knew going in this team was top 6 forward short, but I never in a million years thought this was what was going to happen. And I think it's in large part due to almost every forward outside of that fourth line is giving their like the worst case scenario they can give. Zacha has been, he had chances on Tuesday night, hasn't been able to convert. Lindholm's pointless in 7 straight games. Your top line center, like that to me, again, a guy you gave almost $8 million a year to is pointless in his last 7 games. And I know he looked okay on Tuesday night, but like, and we let, obviously good 2-way play and faceoffs and all that stuff, but there's got to be offense. And when you're playing with David Pastrnak, who also hasn't been great, you expect more. And that, like, to me, that's the thing, is that everybody is doing their worst. And it's, like your top 6 isn't even worthy of being called a top 6 right now. And your best line just got broken up.
Yeah, and I think the most concerning thing, right, is, as you said, like, there was a few quality chances on Tuesday. Lindholm had a good look. It's a John Tortorella team, so there's going to be a shit ton of block shots, all that stuff, which is all well and good. But still, I think the most concerning thing is it's not just like the chemistry or lack thereof. It's the lack of urgency, right? Like you look at especially that game on Tuesday, you get that win over Toronto, a team that is maybe treading water a little bit, but you expect to see in the playoffs in Toronto, a very talented team. You have a little bit of a setback there in the third period, go out and win it in overtime, get some momentum. You've been in a rut for weeks now. Feel like you're building towards something, a jumping off point. Brad Marchand gets on the board. You're feeling better about where you are. And then you have this game on Tuesday at home against a Flyers team that was last in the Eastern Conference, I believe. It gave up, I think, 40 goals through like their last 6 games. Not a good team. A team that you look at as, if you're the Bruins and you think you're a legit contender in the NHL, you tab as that's a get-right game. And now it's been the opposite. You've been the get-right team, whether it's the Flyers, whether it's the Nashville Predators. And for the Bruins, that's
Dallas's power play.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think you just look at the Bruins, it's like the lack of urgency there. Because now, as we're recording this, you lose that game, arguably your worst effort of the year. You're feeling like shit. Your lines are all jumbled up. And now you got to go to Raleigh, a team that has kicked your ass in their own building for years now. And a team that, I was mentioning this to Ty like a few days ago, Carolina's a team that people were like, Are they going to make the playoffs? They lost a whole bunch of guys. Tell you what, they have an identity. They're buying in. They're stingy on defense. They flying in on waves on the forecheck. They're fast. They're effective. Doesn't matter what the personnel is. They have an identity. What's the Bruins' identity right now, Evan? We know what they want to play like. We know like what they did in the offseason, but what is the Bruins' identity right now? Because it's nothing. It's
non-existent.
It's nothing. Yeah, it's a hodgepodge of stuff that is leading to nothing productive on the ice right now.
I mean, I would say it's just, failing to get to high danger areas. It's failing to get shots on net. And like to your point of blocked shots, yes, it's gutsy when you can block shots. I agree. But that's also a symptom of not moving. If you're stationary and you just shoot the puck, you're playing in the NHL. Defensemen and forwards covering you know what you're doing. And that's, again, like the power play. They're just standing there, stationary. And when you're stationary, it's easy to block those. You and I could jump in front of that. I mean, it would hurt. It would suck.
It sure would.
Put gauge on me and like bubble wrap. But like you can read that. And other teams are doing that with ease. And, I thought what was telling on that Tuesday night game was they did have a good amount of zone time. 3 shots in the third. Consistent play along the perimeter. No method of attack to get to the front of the net. And no like urgency to say, you know what? We're not getting any shots from the inside. Philly's packing it in. Let's throw some pucks from the outside and crash the hell out of the net. There was none of that. None of that. And to me, like, that's what's been most egregious. And I think it goes back to, no, we could not have imagined the offense being this bad. And I want to get into sort of disappointing players so far. We're hitting on all of these. But first, a quick word from our friends over at Prize Picks.
The leaves have fallen and the temperature is dropping, but you know what that means. Hockey season is finally here. And there's so many ways for you to get in on the action and win up to 100 times your cash with as little as 4 correct picks on Prize Picks, as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level on the ice, gridiron, court, and much more. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this hockey season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. There's really no shortage of ways to participate in Prize Picks, especially during hockey season. This week, I'm picking David Pastrnak for more than 0.5 goals and Nikita Kucherov for more than 1 assist. It's really that easy. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS on the Prize Picks app to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
So the most disappointing players so far. We're already on this. 10 games into the year. We were so excited for the season to start too, and we're already doing this. Disappointing players so far. Who would be your pick right now?
I mean, I would say right now, I mean, dude, you can pick up a whole lot of guys.
A lot of dudes.
I'll tell you what. Listen, yeah, we're each going to have a couple of good responses here. I'm going to go with a guy in Charlie McAvoy, who I don't think is doing enough to drive play, to impact the game down both ends of the ice. And I think especially look at the power play right now, it just feels like it's rudderless there in terms of playmaking, in terms of being decisive with the puck, moving the puck quickly, which I think you need to do in these instances where you're trying to really kind of stretch out the PK and get them turning their heads and kind of feasting on that kind of chaos and unpredictability that we saw so many times with the Bruins over the years when their power play had guys like Torrey Krug up there. You're just not getting it from McAvoy right now. Like whether it's, a guy like Hampus Lindholm or Lori are more dynamic there, where they're lefties and they can kind of feed the puck to Pastrnak at a quicker rate. And then just like McAvoy down the other end of the ice, I don't think has been as sharp as he needs to be. So Again, he's got a couple of goals, which is more than you can say for a couple of guys I'm sure we'll mention in this grouping. But as the guy that has to be your kind of anchor on defense and an impactful player down both ends of the ice, I just don't think you get enough from Charlie McAvoy out of the gate here.
No, you're not. And he's trying to do too much. You see it. I mean, him jumping up into the offense, being like the F3 in the offensive zone sometimes. It's like, yeah, and I think it also goes back to and I wonder this, playing with a guy like Zadorov, have they been telling him, hey, dude, you can be an offensive defenseman? And it's like, no, man, like me. And again, we always say there's more of a ceiling with McAvoy, and I do believe there is some more, but maybe he is a 50, 55 point a year guy who gets a ton of assists, like good two-way guy, elite two-way guy, instead of, hey, he's going to rush at every shift. He's going to, run the power play. He's going to be super active in the offensive zone. And I agree with you on the power play. I mean, forcing pucks to Pastrnak, they've got to figure out a way to get Lindholm more active on that power play to make him somehow more lethal. Marchand from the shoulder, and whoever they choose to put in front of the net, be it Zacha, Brazeau, whatever. Like, it's such a one-trick pony, and McAvoy, and like, there's just not enough movement up there. And that's where like a low rye comes into play, or a Lindholm. And we've said this for the last like year now of, obviously, McAvoy's your top earner on D. Like, he's your big dog. He's a top 5-7 defenseman in the NHL. Like, it's also okay if he's not doing the first unit. Like, he's not, it's not Quinn Hughes. This is not just an offensive defenseman. Like, he is a good two-way guy. So like, it's okay. That's okay.
It's almost like, would you rather him be like Jacob Slavin with like 40-ish points, or would you rather him be maybe what he isn't of like a Quinn Hughes and a Kyle McCarr? And again, we're in the age of hyper-skilled offensive defensemen. Like, just because you're not Kyle friggin' McCarr or Quinn Hughes or Roman Josi, that's really fine. You can be a damn good defenseman, which is what Charlie McAvoy is, even if it's not power play 1 minutes and those points that come along the way. I'd rather be a dynamic two-way rover defenseman who can crack guys down both ends of the ice and
like
chip in offensively. Yeah,
I'd rather
be that kind of exactly. I'd rather be that kind of player that's 45, 50 points and stick to that than being in a spot where maybe just the overall unit just isn't. They're not just as crisp with the puck as you need them to be. In at this level of hockey, that half-second hesitation can mean a world of a difference in between where the puck's going, what passing lane is going to be available, what chances are going to be there for you, and you're just not getting nearly enough of that right now.
No, you're not. If I was to say like most disappointing, I mean, Coyle has completely missed the mark.
Yeah.
Coming into the year as a number 2 center, 1 point in 10 games. I think he's like a -8 through 10 games. Like, it just not noticeable. Not noticeable. Yeah. No offense. Not nearly good enough as a shutdown guy. The chemistry with Marchand is not there. No driving offense. Like, he's been dried up. Like, that he's been bad. Definitely his worst stretch as a Bruin. And again, it couldn't come at a worse time because no one else is playing well. So it's just sort of collective. And I'll stay at center for my other one, which would be Elias Lindholm. I mean, I think it's more just the lack of production that's been such a bummer and just a miss. Like, all right, Pastrnak finally gets his guy that he wants, which good. We all wanted them to get Elias Lindholm, but to go 7 games without a point, like number 1 center, it's not like he's counted on to lift his wings. Yeah. Like, you're playing with arguably the best right winger in hockey, and you're playing with on the other side, 2 damn good forwards, either Zacha or Marchand. Like, and you're on the first power play.
Yeah.
So I don't get that either.
Yeah, and it's one of the things too where like you look at these lines and hell, you can go into Thursday's game in Carolina, and like David Pastrnak is such a dynamic player that if he gets right, it wouldn't shock you. It wouldn't shock you if he has a 2-goal, 2-assist night with a Beecher and a Zacha. He's done it countless times. Yep. Elias Lindholm, we've always put in the qualifier that he's a really good player, but he's maybe not a line driver. He's a guy that you put in that, elevates a line when he's with other talented players. You saw that in Calgary. And that's what we put as our stipulation, right? Of like, we think he can be a 60-point guy, because he's with David Pastrnak. So now when you have him on a line with Brad Marchand and Mark Kastelik, it's like, yeah, sure. Like, I still feel like you're not going to get the most out of him unless he's with Pastrnak, but it's not working right now. So it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Pastrnak, gets right with whoever he's with, because he's just that talented of a player offensively. Lindholm, it's like, yeah, he's better than he's showing right now, but I don't know if he's going to get the most out of him with a Kastelik and a Marchand, right? So that is the concerning thing, is that I think he needs Pastrnak, and the chemistry is just not there right now.
No, it's not. And I also wonder, like, so Zacha and Pastrnak have a good history together, so there is some promise there.
Yeah.
I do wonder with Lindholm and Marchand, like, is there anything there? I mean, look, Kastelik's game is great. I like it. He's giving you a ton. I just don't know if that's what Lindholm needs. Maybe it is. Maybe Lindholm needs a bruiser down there who just frees up space and causes havoc. Like, maybe that is. They might be onto something there. Or they might not be. And I don't know. And that also comes down to, like, Kastelik being up in that spot, Beecher being up in that spot. It's because guys like Frederick and Geeky have also massively disappointed.
Yeah.
Massively disappointed. So there's a lot of names we could give. We're not going to drag everybody. We don't like doing this. I don't want to do this. This stinks. 10 games into the year, the coach might get fired. My God. Incredible. Anyways, before we get on to some more big picture stuff, quick word from our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like watching an NBA or NHL game live. The energy in the building, the sounds on the ice or the court, the memories you make with family, friends, and other fans. It's unmatched. And the coolest part is when strangers sitting around you become your best friends. You can make these memories with Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. When I use Game Time, I also love the flash deals, which help me get discounted prices on really good seats. Plus, who doesn't love seat views, which give a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy? So, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Now, back to the show. Obviously, the Bruins entered the year down a top 6 wing, and that is because Jake DeBrusk walked, and they never really replaced it. They were open about it. It was, going to be an open competition. Jake DeBrusk, 4 assists through 8 games start the year, so nothing crazy. Good things do take time. I fully expected him to have like 7 goals and 5 assists in like 8 games. And it was just, it would be the worst case scenario for the Bruins. Do you have any regrets over the Bruins letting a guy like Jake DeBrusk or any other free agents walk?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at DeBrusk and maybe I think it was just time for both parties to move on there. But I do think, when you look at maybe the secondary scoring depth, where you look at a guy like Danton Heinen, who wasn't going to break the bank, who I think has 2 goals and 2 assists with Vancouver right now. Like, how much can just one more of those players help you out right now? It's the same reason why I think people are anointing Tyler Johnson as the second coming of the Messiah. When, like, I think you have to put, like, in perspective, like, I think he provides a spark, right? And he's a guy that has produced in this league. So that's why people desperately need him, because right now you're getting nothing from this group. Danton Heinen's not a 30-goal scorer, but he can produce. He had 17 goals last year for the Bruins. Like, just having one more of those guys, I think, would have really helped you here. And it comes down to, maybe if it wasn't DeBrusk, was there another guy out on the market that you look at it now and, is it you're picking between a top 6 or a middle 6 winger and Zadorov, right? Like, are you looking at, not to say that the Bruins had to pick between Zadorov and, a Marchessault or like a Stamkos or someone like that, but like, even a guy that necessarily wasn't going to break the bank, like a Duclair. I know he's out long-term now, but like that's a guy that I really thought would make a lot of sense because he's really fast. You put him in the right spot, he's going to give you 20 goals. Plays with pace, effective on the forecheck, was a Florida Panther for a while there and fit into that identity. Like, not the most physical guy, but closes in quick, makes things happen. You're just not getting that. And that's kind of where you miss like what DeBrusk brought. Like, even when people didn't like that he was up and down production-wise, he was always moving his feet, always making things happen or trying to make things happen. And that's why I think he was so effective in the playoffs, because when ice shrinks and the ability to make plays is really limited, you need guys with the wheels to make something kind of out of nothing. That's why he always seemed to pop up when you get to the playoffs. So maybe not like specifically looking at DeBrusk, because I just think maybe it was time to split there. But yeah, I think the absence of another guy that, again, could give you 15, 20 goals, could add a little bit more speed, more playmaking. All you need is just one of these guys. And all of a sudden, like, if it's someone generating offense and all of a sudden a guy like Geeky gets on the board or Charlie Coyle gets on the board and all of a sudden it starts building that momentum, you're just missing that one piece. It feels like that is why you got so many lines kind of stuck in a rut right now.
Yeah, it's funny because going into the year, I thought Lindholm coming in would kind of put everybody back in their place.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it should have been. Guys just are not performing. I agree with you. I think DeBrusk, it was time. I think he'd been here a while. There'd been, trade requests and things like that over the years. And I agree with you. I think they absolutely could use a guy like him. I think the big question is, should they have allocated Zadorov's money towards a top six winger or, a top six winger and a depth guy or a defenseman? Like, I think that's the big question. I know that when they made that Olmark deal, we kind of railed against the Korpisalo money because it was like, oh man, like you could have used that towards another free agent. And I look at the defense and you take Zadorov out of the mix and it's, Lindholm, McAvoy, Lowry, Carlo, and then, Peak and who, is it Wotherspoon? Is it, a cheaper veteran option on D, which is kind of what I wanted at the time. Like, I think Brendan Dillon was the name that I kept saying, like, hey, that makes sense. But again, like Zadorov, I get it. Like, he has the upside. He's big. I think you also have to, consider with a lot of these free agents, be it Lindholm, Zadorov, even some of the lower end ones, Max Jones, like Riley Tufte. Like, it does take time to adjust to a new place. And there is that. I think that's important to note. Danton Heinen, like, obviously, yes, you would love his production, but we said it a number of times during the summer. Like, you want to find the next Danton Heinen. And but the part about Danton Heinen that's great is he's comfortable here. He's proven here. And it goes back to what I just said about free agents. Like, it does come down to comfort and things like that. And he liked playing for Montgomery. So that was a great fit. Are these guys going to be great fits? Doesn't look it yet. We don't know yet. I think the big regret is they probably should have replaced some sort of top six scoring depth. And because, again, Lysell, they kind of took out of the gate from the beginning. And Geeky gave you nothing. Frederick's given you nothing. Brazeau hasn't given you a ton up there. So, like,
6 minutes, too. That's the whole thing is he started off in the second line on Tuesday. Then he's back down to, like, the hodgepodge that's down there in the bottom six. It's like,
and he's on that fourth line on Wednesday at practice. Like, my guess is that these lines of Beecher and Kastelik up there, I guarantee you they're back to the regular lines midway through the end of the second period. They're back to square one with the lines. Like Duclair, I would have loved, or like Tyler Toffoli. Like, that's
we banked 30 goals with a guy like him.
And I know it's money. You got to make the money work. I get it, but like, would you have taken Nikita Zadorov or Tyler Toffoli? I don't know, man. Like, Toffoli's a pretty solid goal scorer.
He's probably going to, it makes you feel bad, he's probably going to get traded like at the deadline too. He signed like, I think a longer term deal, right? Like 4 years.
3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Maybe San Jose doesn't want to move him because they think he's one of these veteran, guys they want to keep along as they hopefully improve. But I feel like he's a guy that maybe next year is when they'll put him back on the market, because it always feels like there's those kinds of players that are out there. And the way that's going right now, if the Bruins want to contend and they want to go for it this year, then they're probably looking at the market again and seeing what's out there, because it feels like you desperately need, again, the very least a 15, 20 goal scorer.
He has 10 points. He has 6 goals, 10 points, 11 games with the
Yeah.
Sharks.
Yeah.
With the Sharks. So like that's the other thing. But again, it's a longer term deal. So I mean, all right, let's play this game, right? So he's what, 3 or 4 years? So he's got like 2 or 3 years left on that deal.
Yeah.
I forget his age. Is he like 30?
I think he's old. I think he's like 31, 32.
He's been around a while.
Yeah.
Right?
He is 32.
So here's the fun one. Would you deal a first round pick for him? Like, I want to say no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I probably
would. He does have control, so I'm like, and you put him with a center. Like, you make the argument. I would rather they make the first round pick. They need need high end prospects in the system. But like, I'm intrigued.
They need to get a pick, even if it's in like the 20s, which they're not playing like they're going to be picking in the 20s right now. But they need someone.
Maybe they will get James Haggs. Maybe they will get James Haggs.
You talk about the ultimate monkey paw. So it's just shitting on that the James Haggs thing, and then they just are so bad they just draft him outright. They don't even need the Sharks' help for it.
Yeah, no, they get James Haggs on their own. I wonder, like with the Sharks. I said this on Pucks with Haggs the other day, kind of jokingly saying the Bruins should go after Will Smith, who struggled out of the gate. Like on the real, like. If the Sharks are the worst team in hockey and they get the number 1 pick and they pick Haggs, you have Haggs, Smith, and Celebrini on the same team, which is bananas. But they're not all like Will Smith's not going to say, yeah, put me as the third line center. Like someone's got to go. So like, yeah, that's my whole thing with the Sharks. If I had a Sharks podcast, I would just talk about that like every episode. Like, what are they doing with that pick? But
I mean, essentially, the Sharks podcast is like a Hockey East podcast. Just bring in like, bring in Divs, bring in like Andy Mahoney, just bring in all the Hockey East guys, and it's pretty much a Sharks podcast.
That's all you need. Yeah, to have them talk, Hockey East guys and prospects.
Sure enough, they will draft someone. Greer will take all of his Hockey East guys. So
Greer will take Greer. I think his first year took, I want to say it was 2 guys out of New England Prep.
That would not surprise me.
2 guys. James Fisher, I think. Oh God, my brain is.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on. I don't want to put the New England Hockey Journal guy on the spot, but
yeah, I'm cooked. But it's something around that. But yeah, so, not the greatest time. Not the greatest time.
A little dour. It's even like the Rooms DACA. It's just
look, it's in the dark.
The Bruins are like 5 games under 500 by the time we record again. We're just gonna do it in pitch black.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. Just I'll sit here with like.
It's gonna be like it's gonna be the Blair Witch Project. Yeah, it's gonna be just like my face up against the camera like that. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, that's how that's how we feel right now.
We need help. Please
yes.
Send someone in.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's how I feel.
Like that is exactly how it would go. God, that's gonna get clipped.
Yes.
Anyway, Connor, what can the people look forward to from you at Boston.com and the Boston Globe?
Yeah, you can read us over at the Globe and Boston.com. We have recaps, features, columns, breakdowns, all that good stuff. So you can find it over there at those 2 sites. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at Conor Ryan _93.
Go do all that. That's Conor Ryan. I'm Evan Marinofsky. Poke the Bear listeners. Have a great rest of your week.